What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I get to show you a green deck, and I've been playing pretty much nothing. Well, in terms of decks I really want to actively seriously play, green has been my bag since we finally got English cards released. And this is a green deck that excites me. I have made no secret of the fact that I am a fan of Nidhoggmon. Nidhoggmon is one of my very favourite cards that came around in BT4. I'm rather excited about it, and now I get to show you a winning Nidhoggmon list. Shout out to Suzaka TG over on Twitter for sharing the list. It came from their local tournament. And to Ensan Gaming, who I believe did share this list as well. Japanese shops are pretty good at sharing lists on Twitter, which makes me very happy indeed. Now, it is a Nidhoggmon deck, kind of, we'll get there in a minute, but first I want to go and have a little bit of a look at all the other cards. And we might as well start off, as we often do, with Digitama. And we've got, as we often do here, a 4-1 split. And the 4 is Argamon. If this Digimon becomes active during your active phase, gain a memory. Nice. And Digimon come active during your active phase, i.e. if you suspend and then you don't get destroyed or deleted on your opponent's turn and then you unsuspend on yours, boom, gain a memory. It's extra memory. That seems pretty good to me. The one here is Motomon, who did actually come from the starter deck. And as we've seen in a bunch of decks recently, you will see these starter decks popping up. These are good cards. I love that the starter decks have fully exclusive cards. And I love that so many of them are so good. While it's a level 6 or higher Digimon, you gain 1,000 power. Not as good, but that's why it's a one-off. And, you know, that 1,000 power could still make a difference. So let's not go getting too mean here. Now, in terms of level 3s, we do see a playset of Goblimon here, which shouldn't really surprise many people. Goblimon tends to see play in most green decks, because it's a 2 cost to play normally. And it really is no more simple or complicated than that. It is a 2 cost to play normally level 3. It is cheap. We're good. Along the same kind of lines, there are a couple copies of the level 3 Argamon here, and it is exactly the same kind of thing. What we've got is a level 3, which is a 2 cost to play normally. There really is nothing more simple or complicated about it. We are just playing a bunch of cheap level 3s here. But we're not just playing cheap level 3s. We do see a little bit of play for Palmon here. This one came from the starter deck. When you're attacking an opponent's Digimon, you get plus 2,000 power. I.e., you do not get it while you are attacking the security, the player. But when you're attacking a Digimon, this comes in and you're good to go. We then do see just a couple copies here of Lalamon. This was a new one that came around in BT4. If it triggers Digiburst and this card gets trashed, return it to your hand. So remember, Digiburst is a skill whereby you discard your Digivolution sources in order to use it. So here you discard your Digivolution sources and then it comes right back. Which sounds pretty good to me, quite frankly, ladies and gentlemen. That sounds alright by me. And the final level 4 we see here is Tentamon, but not the one that we've had for a little bit of a while. The newer one, the one that came out in the starter deck. When you play it, you reveal a card from the top of your deck. If it's a green Digimon, add it to your hand. But as we're going to see from the deck list in a moment, there are 3 white cards, 3 Tamers, and 2 option cards, which means there are essentially 8, which will miss here, which means that 42 of your 50 card deck is green Digimon cards, which gives you an 84% chance to essentially just draw a card off of Tentamon here, and that sounds pretty good by me. Moving up into the level 4s, we get a very unsurprising one here as well. It is Vegemon. And Vegemon is just a 1 cost to Digivolve level 4. I'm afraid it's as simple as that. It's cheap to Digivolve up, and that's why we end up playing it. Along very similar lines here, we also see Roachmon seeing play, because Roachmon is a 1 cost to Digivolve level 4. It's also a 3 cost to play normally, and 3 cost to play normally, that is, well, quite frankly, that is level 3 cost, not a level 4 cost. It is very ridiculously cheap. Now, we do see Kabuterimon in play here. That is the Kabuterimon which came around in the starter deck, because it is a 1-cost to Digivolve blocker. You lose 2 memory when you attack, yeah, that's sad, boo hiss, etc. But it's a 1-cost to Digivolve blocker. And you'll notice that so far I've shown you 3 different level 4s. They equate to 7 in the deck. And they cost 1 to Digivolve. Hey, along very similar lines here, we've got Gargamon. That is a 1-cost to evolve level 4. Now, it is more expensive to play normally, not that you ever should. But on your turn, for each of your opponent's rested Digimon, you gain 1,000 power. So you're gaining power there as well. But essentially, all the level 4s I've shown you so far evolve for 1. That is not a coincidence. There is one that actually costs 2 to Digivolve, that is Togemon. Because when you evolve into it, you reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. And if you find a level 5... you can put that level 5 into your hand, which is clearly an awesome thing. So it's a kind of thing we're probably going to want to take advantage of. But other than that, they're all just a single memory to Digivolve. Now, moving over into the level 5s here, we've got one that we've seen pop up in a bunch of decks. Again, there's a very good reason for it. It's Blossomon. Now, Blossomon is a 3-cost to Digivolve, but it's got download or Digisorption -3. That is to say that when you Digivolve into Blossomon, you get to suspend one of your Digimon, and then you Digivolve into it for free. Bearing in mind your main Digitama will give you an extra memory when you make yourself active during your active or unsuspended, during your unsuspend phase. That's pretty gosh darn important, frankly, ladies and gentlemen. That is pretty gosh darn important. Now, the other level 5 we see here is Argamon. Yeah, there's a lot of Argamon here. There's a lot of Argamon seeing play, quite frankly. And what we see here is when you Digivolve, you've got Digisorption free. Well, of course you do. You can rest one of your Digimon, and you basically Digivolve for nothing. Bearing in mind, again, you've got that Digitama where when you unsuspend, you will gain a memory, unless your opponent takes you out, which would be sad. Hey-ho. But there's also an inheritable skill here. When attacking, you may play a level 3 green Digimon from your hand, suspended, without paying the cost. So clearly this is Blossomon, but with a good inheritable skill. But we're only allowed to play 4 Blossomon, so we have to adapt and play this as well. There is another level 5 coming in here. There is just a single solitary copy of Lilamon. Lilamon is that new one that's got Digiburst 2. It lets you trash 2 Digivolution sources from the card. And it just suspends one of your opponent's Digimon. Which is good, because then you can attack them and take them out. Which seems like a good thing to me. Now, moving over into level 6s, I promised you Nidhoggmon here. And we have Nidhoggmon here, one of my very favourite cards from this set, and honestly, pretty much any of them so far. Nidhoggmon has a Digiburst 4 skill when you Digivolve. Now, firstly, it's a 5-cost to Digivolve, and secondly, Digiburst 4 means you must trash a level 2, a level 3, a level 4, and a level 5. You must have Digivolved all the way up from a Digi-Egg into this, and then trash all of them, or this isn't going to work. But when it does work, you suspend all of your opponent's 5,000 power or less Digimon, and then you put all of your opponent's suspended Digimon to the bottom of their deck in any order. Yes, that does include Digimon that were already suspended. So you can use Lilamon to just suspend one of them, which is fun, but, it's not always going to be there ready. But they're going to have some hopefully suspended anyway. Then you suspend all their little Digimon. Then you put them all to the bottom of their deck, which gets rid of them off the board. It trashes their Digivolution sources, etc. This is a ridiculously powerful effect. And it's not just the effect, right? The effect is horrific for your opponent. But it's not just the effect. It is what it does to your opponent knowing that Nidhoggmon could hit the field. Your opponent is going to have 4 Digimon out, and they're going to want to attack with all 4 Digimon. But they know that if they attack with all 4 Digimon and then you drop a Nidhoggmon, you will wipe their board. Which is kind of horrendous for them. Kind of hilarious for you. It is, as far as I'm concerned, one of the most ridiculously powerful skills we've seen so far. Now, the other main level 6, there are actually 3 of each of them see in play here, is the Hercules Kabuterimon from the starter deck, which, I mean, you've noticed here, I keep saying starter deck, there are multiple cards in this deck which comes from the starter deck, and that shouldn't surprise any of you here. This is a starter deck which has a lot of really good cards in. I adore the starter decks. We are lucky, lucky people. And what this one does, it's got piercing, so when you take out a resting Digimon, you also perform a security check, which is quite nice. And it's got Digiburst too, but remember you could have Digivolved 2, 3, 4, 5, and then into this, so you can use it twice if you've Digivolved all the way up. And then you rest one of your opponent's Digimon. Or suspend them. And this is kind of like Lilamon in that it is the same skill as Lilamon, but you can use it twice. And now you can suspend multiple Digimon, and then in comes Nidhoggmon to get rid of all of them. This is not the only winning deck I've seen that has Hercules Kabuterimon and Nidhoggmon, and I don't think it's the last one I'm going to see either. It's a phenomenal combo. Now, there is one Puppetmon here as well. I adore Puppetmon. Puppetmon is amazing. Puppetmon suspends one of your opponent's Digimon when you play it, and it is a play skill, not a Digivolution skill, so you got to pay 11, which is sad. And you gain a memory when you attack, which is cool. But on the turn you play it, when you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, none of your opponent's Digimon unsuspend during your opponent's unsuspend phase, which is frankly hilarious. I love Puppetmon. Certainly plays a one-off here, so it's not always going to come out. But when it does come out, things are going to be hilarious. Now, there are actually 2 different level 7s that we see seeing play in this deck, because we now have 2 level 7s that can Digivolve from green, which I think is a good thing. There are 2 copies here of regular Chaosmon. Got piercing again. And when you Digivolve, you may unsuspend this Digimon. And then it can attack an opponent's Digimon. Even if it's unsuspended. But remember, we've had the ruling with this Chaosmon that this is allowed to attack even if the turn passes to your opponent. So if you've got 4 memory and you Digivolve into Chaosmon, you are allowed to attack before it goes to your opponent's turn. And 14,000 power means that the vast majority of Digimon will go down. And you can take out any Digimon, whether they're suspended or unsuspended. And you've got piercing, so when you do take out that Digimon, you will also get to perform a security check. And what we've got here is a Digimon that is... Honestly, I don't think using the phrase broken would be an exaggeration here. Because what you get to do is you get to attack, even though the turn should have passed to your opponent. You get to attack any Digimon, whether they're suspended or not. And then you get to perform a security check. That is redonk. There is also 1 copy of Chaosmon Valderarm here, and again, you're talking a one-of in a game where you don't have much search or much draw, so always be a little bit nervous here. But when you Digivolve, you may lower 2 of your opponent's Digimon by minus 7,000 power, or one of them by minus 14, which is great. And then when you get deleted, you gain 3 memory, which again, is pretty gosh darned great. These Chaosmons, you're not always going to draw into them every game, but when you do, it's going to make a difference. Now, I did promise you there was going to be a Tamer in here, and there is, but it's a green deck, so by now you've probably all figured out. It's Mimi Tachikawa. Still, as far as I'm concerned, the best Tamer in the game. Now, it's a 4-cost Tamer, which isn't that cheap, but do remember if it comes out as a security card, you can play it for free. And it's got that general skill whereby if you start your turn with 1 or 2 memory, it'll be up to 3. But essentially, if you've got a level 5 or higher green Digimon in play, you can rest Mimi and get an extra breeding phase. So either you hatch a Digi-Egg, or you bring it out. And this is huge, because let's say you've got one Mimi in play, you hatch an egg during your breeding phase, evolve it up, and as long as you've got a level 5 in play, you can then rest Mimi and bring it out, and rather than hatching and bringing out an egg to attack every 2 turns, you get to do it every turn. Remember, it is stated in the official FAQ that if you hatch an egg, evolve it up, and then bring it out the same turn with Mimi Tachikawa, you can attack with it. It is immune from the usual rule that you cannot attack the turn you play it, because you didn't play it. You hatched it. And I did promise you an option card, but again here, if you've been following any green deck lists on this channel or anywhere else, by now you'll probably have realised its hidden potential uncovered. It's a 0 cost card that lets you suspend one of your Digimon to reduce the cost of evolving up by 5. Remember how I told you Nidhoggmon was really good, but it was a 5 cost to Digivolve and that sucked? Yeah, rest one of your other Digimon, Digivolve for free. Or your 4 cost Hercules Kabuterimon. Yeah. It's pretty gosh darn good, ladies and gentlemen. It's pretty gosh darn good. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's the deck. It is a deck I am in love with. I love that so many starter deck cards are seeing play, but I also love that Nidhoggmon is running around, and this is definitely a deck that I'm going to have to play around with when it's legal. It looks like an awful lot of fun. But I'd like to know what you think. So let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts, be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.